All right, friends, we are back with another video. It's our good friend here. Man, it's Jason Blaha, Strength and Fitness, Baloney Fitness, and you know who? The gym lifting, recruiting lifting slave himself, who secluded himself in this garage or locked himself in there. But anyways, we're going to do a reaction video today to Blaha, Jason Blaha's video. Jason Blaha says natural foods are rare today and really is just a marketing term. Yeah, okay. Your natural diet, maybe natural foods. Yeah, maybe natural foods is fake. I don't know. But your natural diet, the number one diet that you eat, out of everything else that you can shove in your mouth, the number one thing that humans eat is meat.
Natural food
They eat omnivore animals. That's what we eat. We don't eat carnivore animals. They're putrid. They make us sick.
aren't really a thing anymore, and quite frankly, it's just a marketing term. I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about this today and say why most of us who know about nutrition and know about food tend to use the word whole foods.
He's what I would call a victim of malnutrition and an artificial diet. His parents most likely ate a very high artificial diet, a slave diet, and he ended up with crooked teeth, with poor genetics, with a rounded head, and he just looks terrible. He's short, he's lumpy. This is what happens when, you know, undernourished. He's undernourished. He was probably undernourished growing up as well. I don't know what happened to him exactly, but he just looks totally diminished. But one of the signs are when the dentist looks at you is in your mouth, and they can see how your teeth are aligned, how they're lined up. A lot of the problems with these teeth, these children, because their parents ate a very artificial fake diet, very toxic artificial diet, and it's causes DNA damage, and it's passed on generationally down the line. And I would say that Blaha is a victim of this artificial diet. Now, what your diet is meat. Now, you'd say koala bears, they eat eucalyptus trees, right? They eat that one tree. I don't know. There are some plants that probably some animals out there can eat other plants, but usually they specifically eat one plant. They may get away with other plants. I'm not sure. But if they do eat those other plants, guess what's going to happen? They're going to get sick. They're going to get sick eventually eating something else that's out of the realm of their diet. And most likely they probably know that, but they do it anyways. And that's the reason they become a victim. They become a victim. And so humans have become a victim eating an artificial diet. They're still eating their natural diet, but they're eating an artificial diet outside the realm of their natural diet, which is causing them all these problems. It's kind of obvious. It's kind of obvious on the face of it, okay?
Whereas companies like to use the word natural foods because it's really just a marketing ploy. And when I say,
Yeah, I would agree. They use natural foods as a ploy. It's natural. What is natural? It came from the ground? Is that natural because it grew from the ground? Is it natural because it came from an animal? I don't know. But once it's been processed, how could it be natural if it's processed? See what I mean? What is natural? Natural means an animal. An animal's natural. You cut it up, here's the pieces, nothing has been done to it. Nothing has been done to that animal. You cut it up and you eat it. It's not been processed or anything like that. It's not a plant.
yes, when I say whole foods, we're talking about foods that are minimally refined, and they're not necessarily what you would find out in nature, but at least what
He's talking about artificial food that has been refined. Artificial food, something you shouldn't be eating, but you are eating. You are eating it because you're eating it for taste and not health.
produce on a farm or a ranch that has been processed a minimal amount, but we need to understand why that processing even matters, because in some cases, some processing actually improves nutritional value.
You know when ghrelin and leptin stops working? When you eat an artificial diet. Do you know when ghrelin and leptin starts working? When you eat a natural diet, meat. What happens when you start eating meat? Well, what goes up? You're hungry. You get ghrelin, right? You're hungry, whatever, right? Okay. At some point, that meat starts to taste bad. After like the fourth plate or fifth plate of eating steaks, it's kind of really hard to down more meat. Why is that? And you don't really particularly feel so full, and you don't have a bloated belly or anything. You're like, what's going on here? And it's like, I can eat more, but it's hard to eat more. Why? Because leptin is working perfectly fine. Leptin is saying, you know what? This is it. We're full. The tank is full. We don't need to eat anymore. So it stops you from eating that. You stop. You would have to force feed yourself, which is going to be very painful to do. Force feed yourself, trying to put more meat down your stomach. You won't do it. But your body will take a lot more protein meat, especially after a workout. There's a window for protein synthesis. So during that window of protein synthesis, you could down more meat than normal than you would normally do if you were just to down it and you didn't do anything. See what I mean? Well, yeah, that is one thing that happens. But anyways, yeah, this whole natural stuff. Let's see what else he has to say.
In some cases, it reduces it. So even then, you can't use that as a catch-all. But the problem with this idea of natural foods, and people say that, well, this is natural. It's like, but it really isn't. Unless you are picking it out in the wild, and it is truly wild crop, not one that has escaped from agriculture. Okay, so people need to understand that difference. Just because.
Yeah, if you were to take it from nature out in the wild, which it doesn't exist. These foods at Walmart, they don't exist out in the wild. So, I don't know why they call it natural, but okay.
Grow.
He's actually starting to smart up. He's getting smart now, Blaha. Look at that.
Outside of a farm somewhere doesn't mean that it ever occurred in nature. It could still be a completely man.
Exactly. But you've been watching my videos. Yeah, it can't be found out in nature, Blaha. That's right. Yes, sir.
Made crop. Okay? Same thing if domesticated animals get out in the wild and you hunt them.
Hey, he's talking about domesticated animals. You know what I've been talking about recently in my videos? Domestication. The domestication of humans and the domestication of animals, bro. Yeah, he's a domesticated human. How did they domesticate him? By feeding him an artificial diet.
Not necessarily a wild animal, although we could make the case for that, probably more so. So what do I...
He can't stop lifting because he's on drugs. You know what they're called? It's called carbohydrates. It's called sugar and carbohydrates. He's on a carbohydrate sugar drug diet. And so he can't stop lifting. That's why he keeps lifting, because he's drug induced. He can't stop because it's an addiction. You eat this drug and then you just keep lifting like crazy. You become a lifting slave. But when you stick to your natural diet and you stop eating this artificial diet, the fake diet, and you just eat meat, guess what happens? You don't want to lift weights anymore. You don't want to lift weights. You don't want to do anything. You can think clearly. You have a different type of energy. It's not a drug-induced energy high anymore. It's a different kind of energy. And you can think clearly. You feel much better. A whole bunch of things. You're not getting sick anymore either. There's just many things that are starting to happen. Yeah, you just don't realize it. He doesn't realize it. He's been on a drug-induced diet his entire life, eating tofu and pasta and, I don't know, beans and rice and whatever else there with, like, I don't know, what's it got in there? Like cyanide and a bunch of like arsenic and stuff, whatever. These foods.
What do you mean by that? Well, most of the foods we eat don't exist in nature. Okay, and our meat is not.
Most of the foods that we eat don't exist in nature. Yes, animals exist in nature. They exist on farms, but they exist in nature. They haven't really changed that much. They got domesticated, but they didn't really change that much. And they can change back if they go out back in nature. But it's still natural. Animals are still natural. I don't know what he's talking about.
Not in the form that it would be found out in the wild either. And I want to note that I'm not saying this is a bad thing. When I say this, people are saying, so you're saying everything grown is bad. No, I'm not saying that at all. Because I don't believe in
everything grown is bad.
The naturalistic fallacy, or the appeal to nature fallacy, I'm sorry, which states that, if it's natural, it's better. See, that's a fallacy, and it's also a fallacy used to sell products to you.
Okay, yeah, I would agree with that. But if it's your diet, which is meat, then you'll never run into problems. But if you eat something artificial, these artificial diets, these fake diets outside the realm of your diet, which is meat, then you're looking for trouble. You'll look like Blaha. You'll have crooked teeth, a round head, a pumpkin head, and a blocky stomach, and suffer from sarcopenia, metabolic diseases, and skin diseases like him. You're going to get psoriasis all over your legs and a bunch of things, and ear problems that he has and whatever else. These are the problems you run into when you eat something that is not the food that you should be eating. There's that you could put, like I said, you could put anything in your mouth. Does that mean it's healthy for you? If you ever watch children when they're growing up, the first thing they do is they eat paper. They run into the toilet, into the bathroom, and they'll pull like on tissue paper and put it in their mouth and run around with it. They'll rip up magazines and put pieces of paper in their mouth. Yeah, they'll put it in their mouth. They won't swallow it, but they'll just put it in their mouth. They're testing these things out to see what they are exactly. They're testing everything. They're curious, but they won't swallow it. You'll see them put all kinds of stuff when they're a kid. They'll put all kinds of stuff in their mouth, and then they'll run around and smile at you, and then you go, "Oh my God!" and you start pulling these pieces out of their mouth, whatever. Yeah, that's just a habit kids have. But they know what their natural. They know what their diet is: meat. When you give them meat, they want meat. But when you give them something artificial, they don't really want it. But then you force it upon them. You force them to eat it, which is, I would say, it amounts to abuse. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, it's not based on reality. It's not.
I would say that Blaha was an abused child when he was small. He was an abused child, and his mom also abused him as a fetus inside her womb by feeding him a slave diet. And this is the eventual product that popped out. It was Blaha popped out. He came out as a victim. He's been victimized.
Really how things work. All right. So the idea, though, that stuff.
And now he's disabled. He's disabled because of that, and and rightfully so. He should be on disability after what his parents did to him and the government feeding him a slave diet, transforming him into this ungodly person.
Is natural just because we haven't refined it much.
And he can't stop eating the drug-induced diet because it was introduced to him when he was a fetus inside his mom. Just like they say, you know how they turn these kids into drug addicts? They smoke, or they do marijuana, or they take some drug or something, and then they go, oh, we have to, these kids now, they come out, they're like drugged, this, that. Well, sugar is a much more powerful drug, going to keep you working like a slave. So he can't stop doing it. He can't wing it. He can't stop that. That's his problem. He should sue the government for that. But, I don't know. I guess that's besides me, but whatever.
Which isn't really true. All right, our crops, they're all selectively bred. In other words, their entire foods that you recognize and think of as health foods, and they are health foods, they are superfoods, that don't exist in nature. Like broccoli, cauliflower, there's like 6 different vegetables that all originated as the same species, and it does not look anything like what your final products are today. Okay, there was a species that was selectively bred by humans, and they turned it into all these different foods. And so broccoli and cauliflower on that list, and I forget the others off the top of my head, but those are 2 of the big ones. I want to say it's something like Brussels sprouts or whatever.
Yeah, they did.
But there's like 6 of them. These foods are not found in nature at all. We selectively bred those over centuries to create these nutrient-dense superfoods, okay? All your fruits, most of your vegetables.
Wait. These nutrient-dense superfoods, they don't have any nutrients in them. What are you talking about? They either have toxins in them and water and fiber, or they have sugar, fiber, and some toxins in them. So I would say they would amount to sugar, fiber, and toxins, and some just have toxins and water and fiber in them, like vegetables.
They're selectively bred to have higher nutritional content, like they taste.
They are anti-nutrient, and if they're anti-nutrient, they don't have any nutrients if they're anti-nutrient.
Better, they have more substance to them. So these are foods that don't exist in nature. Now when people say, well, what kept people then from getting nutrient deficiencies in nature? Nothing. That's why people die. That was the leading cause of.
Yeah, they get nutrient deficiencies. You want to know why? Because if you stop eating your natural diet, meat, which we all eat, of course, we all eat all over the world. We eat meat. We've got to eat meat. Want to know why? If you stop eating meat, you'll die. That's why populations that stop eating meat, they die. They die. They're very decrepit death, of course. Yeah, they die, man. Vegans, if they stop eating meat, they die. But people who eat meat, they don't die. But people that stop eating meat, they die. So vegans die when they stop eating meat eventually, yes. They deteriorate and they die. Here's what happens. You're not really aging. You're deteriorating. You're deteriorating faster than you're aging because you're not really aging.
Death for hundreds of thousands of years among our species. Okay, malnutrition, bad and infections, that's the stuff that killed us. Now, today, because we don't...
Malnutrition, yeah. Overfed and undernourished. That's what people are, that's what's killing you now too. Infections. You might get infections because you're sick, because you're not eating your main diet, which is meat. Meat is your diet, dude.
Have these problems. It's heart disease, diabetes, cancer. That's our three killers. Heart disease being the top of the list. Okay? Do we understand that? So nothing stopped us. We died. People starved.
Yeah, we are still dying. When you eat anything artificial outside the realm of your diet, which is meat, then you die. You get all these diseases. You get all these problems. Yes.
To death. They had major nutritional deficiencies that killed them every time there was a problem, like a famine or ice age, anything like that.
No. There's no deficiency in meat, though, Blaha. There's no deficiency. There's absolutely zero deficiency in meat. All nutrients can be found in meat and more, they say. Science is still discovering.
Okay, people died. So why we have successfully created society.
Why do people still read books to get...
So why we have successfully created societies, because we've developed superfoods and grown them through selective breeding to give us better nutrition profile. Thus, we've been able to increase our population.
No, that's not why we did it. We grow them so we can market them and make money. That's what we do. What's he talking about? He's making that stuff up. There's no, listen, man, plants are not protein. Meat is protein. And these plants, they don't have any nutrients in them. What are you talking about? Because if they had nutrients, then we wouldn't have to eat meat. Nobody would be eating meat. Think about this logically and intelligently. Listen to Blaha. If we stop eating meat, the vegan compilation, when they stop eating meat and they eat raw vegan, what happens to them? When they start eating vegan, they fall apart. And where do they go when they fall apart? They go back to their what? Their natural. They crawl, they scratch and crawl back to what? Their natural diet. What is that? Meat. You understand me? It's kind of obvious. It's not hard to understand this. You know, Blaha, maybe he doesn't understand that. Maybe because he's so daft. Meat is your diet. Without it, you'll die. You'll die. And it's really simple. He's not deficient in any nutrients, but plants, they're deficient. That's why people will die. If you eat a plant diet, you will die. It's really simple, of a deficiency.
Population size, we've been able to increase the life expectancy of a population density.
No, we haven't. They're still eating meat, Blaha. We've been able to increase the population density by what? Eating plants? No, we destroyed the earth. We've done nothing. We've increased the bank accounts of people. That's what we've been doing by selling them a drug-induced diet and sending the slaves to work, like you, working in the gym. Look, if you eat your natural diet meat, you don't want to go to the gym or go anywhere. You don't want to do any work. You just want to relax, eat and sleep and relax all day and go fishing, maybe hang out in nature, walk around, have sex, maybe procreate, make some kids. You know what I mean? Hang around a woman. You wouldn't want to be doing any of these things. You don't want to be slaved to some fake job to get some fake money to go eat fake food. Get it? That's been marketed to you. Here's the thing. These doctors, the dentists, the doctors and everything, they would not survive if you were to stay on your natural diet. They need to market this stuff to you so that you get sick, so that they have something to do. They have a job. And then they call themselves doctor or dentist. You know what I mean? Or police officer. You wouldn't need police. You wouldn't need anything. Nobody would be going nuts and crazy in society and messed up. They would be. Society is so messed up because it's the food that's running this society. It's a drug. We're all on drugs, man. We are all drug addicts, get it? And that's why we have all these mental and physical problems, because we're on drugs.
Right? We're not stuck to the small tribal unit. Right? We're not stuck to having to travel and be nomads in small nomadic groups in order to simply
travel. Why did they travel? They traveled where the animals went. Animals didn't stay in one place. They had to move. There's like raining seasons and stuff like that. They have to move where there's grass. They graze on grass, these omnivores. Yeah, so we would follow them. That's why we call it nomadic. We're nomadic. we would follow them and eat them, but we don't do that anymore. We have slaughterhouses for that. People have a job. Everybody has a job now. They have a job to make the food for us, and we go to work and do the other work for them, so that they can all have a sofa, a TV, and a house and live a nice little beautiful life. Everybody get it?
Alive anymore. We could build towns. Okay, there would be no permanent towns or settlements.
But why do we need to build towns? Why? What's wrong with nature? You don't like it out there? You don't like eating your natural diet animal?
Otherwise, without
Oh, there's no money in it. That's why. I get it. Yes, Blaha, there's no money in it.
agriculture. So we've selectively bred these foods to make superfoods that have nutritional values and grow faster and easier than anything found in nature. So they're not natural.
Hey, they're not natural. Hey, of course not. Look, you're not natural yourself. But anyway, Texas, how's the weather down there? I hear it's boiling hot right now this time of the year, dude. That fan is off. That fan should be blowing.
Doesn't mean they're not good for you. They're superior to what's found in nature. All right.
Does he have the door open, or maybe he has air conditioning on in this garage? Who knows?
We come to our animals. People don't seem to realize, well, they're like, well, if it's grass-fed, it's more, but, not really. Yeah, it's going to be.
Yes, really. As long as a cow eats its natural diet like grass, then that animal will be fine. But when the animal steps out and starts eating other foods, then we get mad cow disease. We get diseases and all kinds. You see all kinds of stuff going on. There are no diseases in humans. A human body would never give you think about it. A human body would never give you a disease. Why? Because it was created to carry you, to function, to whatever, to keep you functioning normal, to carry you through this world, to make you whatever, to keep you functioning like a normal person in this world, to do whatever it is you're doing. You understand me? So yeah. But like I said, once you go out that realm, you eat outside that realm, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. That's just like the cow. When they eat outside, there's trouble, bro. These animals, the moment they eat something they're not supposed to, they're done.
A little leaner if it's grass-fed instead of grain-fed. But a grass-fed cow that spent its whole life in a pasture, never grain-fed out, which is going to be relatively rare, it lives on just grass its entire life.
Okay, so what do you want us to do? This is what they give us slaves to eat, these cows. You say they're gonna eat grains, they're not gonna entirely eat grass all the time. Yeah, but it's unfortunate. So you go hunt then. Go hunt out in nature. Blaha. You got a freezer over there? Let's go hunt for deer.
Life still has way more body fat than, say, a deer or something that you hunt. Why? It's way, way, way fatter. Because it hasn't had to scavenge. It's been able to stand around and eat grass.
No. The fattest human on this planet the fattest animal on this planet is a human. They're the fattest animal. They're the fattest.
It's normal food and a plentiful supply and fatten up and gain weight even out in the pasture. Yes, it's leaner than if you fatten it up with grain-fed, but it's still not what you would think of as a natural.
Yeah, but it's not something they wanted to eat naturally. The grains, dude. It was fed to them by the farmers or whoever's raising these cows. Okay.
Animal. The fat is often 4 or 5 times higher.
What are these bans for? They don't do anything. Why are you doing that? Stop that. It's annoying.
Say most wild game. So even then, if we're going to make those arguments, and we know saturated fat's not the best thing for you, that it shouldn't be subject to debate. The data on that's overwhelming.
Yeah, saturated fats from plants should not be for you. Low lipids, it's very bad. Yeah, okay, whatever.
So when you look at that, people will say, well, saturated fat's so bad that how can people survive? Well, because one, they didn't live long enough to have the heart disease. Number two, the animals aren't as fat. Okay, they don't have as much of it. Does that make sense? So you wouldn't be able to get, like if you're out eating only wild game that has lived in the wild and had to rummage and run and everything its whole life, it's going to be way leaner and way lower in saturated fat than what you're buying. Even if you raise something in a pen or a pasture, it's going to be way leaner. So even our meat in that respect is nothing like a natural nutrition profile. Now, I'm not saying it might not be better in some ways. It might have better vitamin and mineral content. All right, same thing when it comes in with processing. So you have to look at processing. We talk about minimally processed whole foods, but usually if the process improves nutritional value, we still don't say, hey, that's not a whole food. In other words, cooking broccoli increases the nutritional value versus eating it raw, and that's true of most vegetables. Okay, gets rid of the anti-nutrients and block absorption. All the stuff that people worry about with vegetables goes away if you cook them. Therefore,
They go away if you cook them. They don't go away. They're reduced, they say, these toxins and anti-nutrients, whatever you want to call them, Blaha. He doesn't even know anything, man. He believes anything that people tell him. You ever watch that movie, Catch Me If You Can? You know what that guy said, Abigail? He said, people believe whatever you tell them because people are stupid.
processing is good. Some other processing gives us better access to stuff in foods. Processing is bad when it adds certain things you don't want.
Processing, when they add chemicals, yeah, they started adding chemicals to these processed foods, making them even worse than they are already. It's dead anyways to begin with. It's the chemicals that are really giving you a hard time. For sure.
Be harmful to you, or when it speeds up absorption so much and it creates problems. In other words, if you don't need the faster absorption, it could be a big problem. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Making butter instead of consuming milk makes the fat way more absorbable faster, and it removes all the other valuable stuff. Butter is there.
The processed milk, the butter. Yeah, I don't know. I like butter's better than margarine, but if I had to use butter, it's good for cooking a bunch of things. Yeah, butter's not bad actually, but I don't eat bread, so I don't know. I don't eat butter. I just eat my natural diet, which is meat. Meat is as natural as you could get. Meat. And you're not going to run into all these problems. It's really simple.
For highly processed junk food, and the fat is not the same as if you just got it in milk. Perfect example.
You shouldn't be even eating eggs, man. You shouldn't be eating eggs. Eggs are from carnivore animal, bro. That's what I discovered. You got to wig away from it. You could start having problems eating eggs. Even you can see a difference. I've eaten them raw, and I'm constantly was having some kind of weird irritation. I was wondering what that irritation was, because steak doesn't give me any of that irritation. I don't get anything from steak. No inflammatory response. I don't feel really super full. I don't feel that I'm going to the washroom even. I'm not even going to the washroom for God knows how long. I'm simply peeing a lot, I noticed. Maybe because meat is 75% water and the rest is being digested in that hydrochloric acid there in your stomach is just like melting it to nothing. And then you're still peeing it out. So there's not really anything left there to come out. You're just peeing like crazy. It's really odd because you're not eating fiber anymore. So yeah.
Right? Sugar cane. Once it's stripped down and all that fiber is removed, our digestion.
Sugar cane, when it's stripped down and all that fiber is removed? What about it? You talking about processed sugar?
Yeah, it's completely different. We absorb it in a different part of the GI tract.
Man, my friend said he looks like an 80-year-old man. I showed him a picture of Blaha today. He says he looks 80.
It has less time to ferment. It creates way more fructose into our bloodstream than, say, fructose would be found in a fruit in its whole food form, or even sugar cane. If you were to just chew on and eat the same amount of sugar, you would not get the same fructose load because that process.
Yeah, but you're still getting fructose. It's not your diet. Again, it's not your human diet. It's really simple.
Processing makes it so much more faster absorbing than you absorb it in the upper.
Do you have any proof that fructose is a natural human diet for humans to eat fructose or eat any kind of toxins like oxalates? That's part of our diet to eat toxins like let's see, arsenic that comes from rice. Is that part of it? Should we be eating the fructose, the sugar? Should we be eating cellulose? Can we digest cellulose? No, we can't eat grass. We can't digest it, okay? We can't digest plants. You know what I mean? And what about the anti-nutrients that are in there? Which is the toxins. Should we be eating that? No, absolutely not. See what I mean? Should you be eating seeds anyways, like seeds from plants? No. What are seeds for? To grow plants. Why would you put them in your mouth? That's like I smack you. The little child, when they put those seeds in their mouths, you can smack them. What are they doing putting seeds in their mouths? Come on.
Intestine instead of the lower. So these are examples of what I mean by bad processing and foods no longer being whole foods at that point.
They're not food, they're marketing. There's no such thing as processed food. It doesn't exist. It only exists in Walmart. It doesn't exist. None of these fruits, nothing. That's it. You know that, Blaha? Come on, you know.
All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals.
Yes, very informative, friends. Tell me what you think about that. Like, subscribe, support the channel, comment down below. Helps with the algorithm. I'll see you in the next video. Blaha. Very unnatural. A victim of unnatural whatever.